guys, this is Heidi and you're watching Heidi K Makeup. I wanted to do the Perfect Palette tag, the second one. I don't think I've done the original Perfect Palette tag. If I have, I'll link it down below, but if I haven't, maybe I'll film that later. I'm doing this kind of backwards, but if you guys haven't heard of the Perfect Palette tag, I will link the original down below along with the Perfect Palette 2 tag. It's like a follow-up to the original tag video. And let's just break right into it. Here are the questions. Would you rather get an eyeliner, a brush, or nothing in the palette? And I personally prefer to get a brush in the palette if it's a good quality brush. Like, I actually really liked the brushes from the Naked palettes, or like this brush that came with my Anastasia self-made palette. I think it's really nice. I prefer that as opposed to an eyeliner. Just because brushes don't go bad and I can just have that forever. Eyeliners tend to be pencil eyeliners. I'm not as big of a fan of a pencil eyeliner. It's nice sometimes when palettes come with like shadow insurance, like eyeshadow primer as well, which that wasn't included, but that would be nice as well. But overall, I think I would go with a brush as long as it's a good one. If it's just those little dinky, like the brushes that come with the Wet n Wild palettes, I'm not all about that. I'd rather just have nothing then. A palette that you've hit pan on. I have two. I actually had more than this, but I got rid of a couple palettes that I had hit pan on. So the two palettes that I've hit pan on should be familiar to you guys if you watch my Pan That Palette videos. I will link those down below, but they're the palettes that I'm trying to hit pan on every shade in this year. The first one is the Urban Decay Feminine Palette, which if you watched my last update, you know I have now hit tiny amounts of pan on every single shade in this palette. And then my, and then I never touched it again. We'll come back to this later, I think. And then my Tarte Get Carried Away palette, I have hit pan on. I had hit pan on these three shades last you checked, but I've also since then hit pan on this green shade, which I really like, this green shade, which I really don't like, and then these two purple shades, which I just did the last day or two. So sneak peek at Pan That Palette, and I'm celebrating hitting pan by taking a few days off. Every time I hit pan, I take 2 days off. So I just hit pan on 2 shades in the same day, so I'm going to take 4 days off. Right now I'm not wearing this. But those are the two palettes that I have hit pan on. My favorite Naked palette, this one is definitely the Too Faced Natural Eyes palette. It's just, I just love it. I just think it's the best. Everyone talks about the other ones, but this one is way better in my opinion. And if this was the only palette I had, I would be happy. It's the newer version. They had an older version that had like a glitter bomb shade right here, and I think they've changed some of, like this shade is different, and let's say maybe this shade is different too, but I really, really enjoy this palette. The next question is your favorite holiday or limited edition palette. All of these are going to be Too Faced mostly because Too Faced is my favorite brand. But my favorite one is the Too Faced Sweet Dreams palette. This one is really sentimental to me. This one I got on Black Friday 2011, which was a really big day for me. So this is the oldest palette that I have, and I think that the shades in it are just gorgeous. They've had a lot of love. I might pan this palette next year. I don't know, but I really, really, really like these. And then it also came, I depotted it, or I depotted some of them. It came with 2 bronzers. This one was, or no, it came with a bronzer, a highlighter, which was Candlelight, which I actually have right here. I depotted it into this. Candlelight, and then it came with 2 blushes as well, which is this sweet pink shade, which is that light pink, and then the shade that's in my depotted one is Cocoa Rose. And I really like it. I like it a lot. I wish that this was permanent. I'm not crazy about the packaging. It's a little bulky, but the palette itself I think is beautiful. A palette you would repurchase or wish you had a backup of. So I feel bad for mentioning this twice, but it's the truth. I would repurchase the Too Faced Natural Eyes palette. It's just my favorite. It's just the best. I feel like I rave about this in like every other video, but it just, there's something about these shades that are just perfect and I love it. I don't really buy backups, and honestly, if I really did use all of this up, I probably wouldn't repurchase it until I use some other stuff, but I would miss it a lot. I really, really, really like it. A shade that you wish was sold individually. This might be sold individually, but I don't think it is. It's this macaron shade, this orange shade right here in the Too Faced Sugar Pop palette. It's such an interesting shade, and orange next to blue eyes makes your eyes really, really, really pop. So that's a little fun trick because they're opposite each other on the color wheel, and they don't really have shades that look like this. I think that it's really, really pretty and would love to have that individually. I'm not a huge single eyeshadow person. I would rather have the whole palette, but I do really like that shade a lot. Wild card. Pick a question from the original Perfect Palette tag and answer it here. For this, I'm going to go with my least used palette. Now, I decluttered quite a bit of stuff that I wasn't really using, but I kept this one. This is by Sleek. Sleek is a cruelty-free brand to the best of my knowledge, but they are not on Logical Harmony yet. So I believe that they're cruelty-free. I'd be very surprised if they weren't. This is the Acid palette, and you can see why it's my least used palette. It's just kind of scary. I held on to it because I really like it. Sometimes I use these really bright, scary colors to make a really pretty like sunset highlighter eye, and I always get compliments when I do that, but it's just not very practical for everyday use. But this is probably my least used palette, so that is my answer to that question. The palette that you would recommend to a friend. Obviously, I would recommend the Natural Eyes palette. I do recommend the Natural Eyes palette, but I couldn't pick that for 3 answers. So I'm going to go with the original Too Faced Chocolate Bar. I don't own the other 2 Chocolate Bar palettes, so I don't know about the Semi-Sweet and the Bonbons. And I know they're coming out with a peach one very, very soon if they haven't yet. But this one, I just... You know, there's a reason it has a cult following. They're beautiful shades. They're really nice. It's relatively new to me, but I'm glad that I have it. And I just think that, like, if you're new to makeup, this is the perfect palette to start with because it's got some shades that are, like, colorful, but they're not scary colors. I think most people can wear, like, burgundies and maroons and not be too scared of them. And purples, I think, is pretty universal. So you can have a couple pops of color, but then you also have a lot of really pretty neutrals to choose from. So I think the Chocolate Bar palette is just a no-brainer. So those are my answers to the second Perfect Palette tag. If I do tag some people, I will try to remember to link them down below. But honestly, if you want to do this, no one tagged me. Just do it. You'll like it. It's fun. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that. I'd love to hear from you guys. What is your most used palette? What is your least used palette? Answer some of the questions down below. Pick a question and answer it. All of the questions in the description. And if you're new to my channel, you can hit the subscribe button so the next time I do a video, you'll know about it. You can also see what my family is up to every day by subscribing to our daily channel, which is Sudden Kimpact, or my parenting channel, which is HeidiKMTV. Thanks for watching. Bye. First off, if you guys are on a no buy or a low buy and you find haul videos triggering you to want to shop, maybe this isn't the best video for you because I am not on a no buy this year and I'm allowing myself to buy pretty much whatever I want as long as it doesn't break my budget. And so everything that I purchased, I do with my personal money. My husband and I each have personal money. And because I was on a no-buy last year, I had a huge chunk of change that I hadn't spent basically all year.